What's up, YouTube? Bay Area Baller back again. I'm here with 49er Earl. We're going to be talking 49ers roster. Stay tuned. What's up, YouTube? I'm joined by Madden Pro 49er Earl. Earl, how you doing today?
Doing outstanding, man. How are you doing?
I'm feeling good. I'm so excited to have you on because, we go way back. We're
Long time,
talking
man. Long time.
Niner, I wanted to ask you, what year was it where you had went on Mutthead and did that contest, right? You had people subscribe to your Twitch.
Yeah.
And was it a Mike Vick? Were you giving out a GT
that
Mike
was,
Vick?
So that was the first stream I ever did, I think it was. I just spent up all the coins that I had because I didn't really want to play the game anymore. In my first stream, I was in my parents' house and I was in the living room and I had this Mike Vick. Everybody wanted Mike Vick, man. And I had like close to 200 people, 300 people in there.
Mike Vick's the Madden GOAT. Vick's the Madden GOAT.
And that year, like everybody was trying to get Mike Vick. So, yeah, that year, man, like I didn't even have any indications of streaming. I just knew that, like, oh, I guess I could stream on Twitch. I didn't know what that was. So, I just booted up a stream off my PlayStation. I had my like little freaking what was it, the PlayStation Eye that they had when it first came out, and then saw 300 people in there, man, and it just freaking got me hooked, So shit,
and I was one of those. You put out that that forum chat, and I subscribed. I was in there. I was trying to get that Mike Vick, and that's first how I found you. And you started playing. I'm like, dang, this guy's good.
Yeah.
Right. And then from there, you've taken things to another level. Why don't you let the audience know kind of some of your accolades? Or I know you got one for sure that I'm aware of in terms of, just your Madden career, because you're a hell of a Madden player, and I know it.
No, I appreciate it. Well, I first got started like 20 years ago in Madden. Like Madden, like I think it was 96 or 98, whatever it was. I was like 6 years old playing. Then I played all the way through like elementary school, middle school. Was really good at it then. Played a bunch of friends, and then high school, like when the game came out, I would bring like the game over to my friend's house and we'd just load up. And we'd have like a round robin.
I was doing the same shit, Earl. I was doing the same shit. Me and my buddy, here's what we did. We used to fantasy draft our rosters.
Yeah.
And then we're rocking with those squads. Just playing each other.
Gotcha. Yeah, I was like, bro, I used to play my buddy Roger, which is one of our best running backs at my school at the time. Like, and I would just throw, I think it was Madden 09, where Reggie Bush was literally godlike on the game, on the Saints. And I used to run Full House. I don't know if that's in the game right now because it's like, but Full House with Reggie Bush at fullback, cheating. It broke the game, bro.
Yeah, Full House. That's with three people in the backfield. It'd be like a tight end.
Yep.
And two running backs, right?
You put Reggie Bush on a wheel route, absolutely gone, bro. So it's like I just beat the hell out of all my friends. It wasn't like it was fun beating the hell out of them, but I mean there was only a couple people that actually gave me a tough time in high school. And then I went straight to the Marine Corps and I won a couple tournaments in Japan and stuff like that. So that was honestly really cool. And that's when I really figured out, like, man, like I want to get into competitive Madden, So that's what I did.
I did a Madden challenge. This must have been like 2004. I was like 14 years old, and I went out. It was at the Metreon in San Francisco.
Okay.
And I'm out there. I was playing with my buddy the whole night before. We were playing a bunch of games online at that point, but this was my first kind of taste of competitive Madden. Won my first 2 games. Started out hot, and then I played this guy who literally he might have made it to the Madden bus.
Okay.
Played this dude. He was.
What you remember his name?
No, I
was
don't.
Was he a Niners fan? Or wearing a Niner jersey?
No, he wasn't.
Okay.
He wasn't.
Gotcha.
This dude was traveling. He was hitting up tournaments. He had his hype boys in the back that were like spooking me out. He had an audience with him. I was like,
yeah, that's the tournament.
I
That's
got my one friend here
life,
with me
man.
who lost the first game.
That's dope, bro. Like that's like where the real tournament vibes are, man. I can't. Hopefully, we get to see those again because it's been a couple years, obviously with COVID and shit. But man, those are when they got their friends in your ear yapping. I mean, that's when you can really tell like you're really
It
good in the
got to
game.
me.
Are you
It
able to
got to
tone
me,
that out?
Earl.
Yeah,
I
no,
was
it's tough.
14. I threw the interception, man. They were
hmm
all up in my ear, and then you see the look on my face just turned sour. It was over from there.
Yeah, it's tough.
But
It's tough to
it's
bounce
it's a
back from
learning
that stuff.
experience.
Yeah, absolutely.
And there's a few players because I was playing a bunch of games. I think that was like what 2015. When was your giveaway?
My giveaway, I think, was Madden 16, right? Is the one Boss
16.
did?
Okay, 16. So I was
Yeah.
heavy Madden 16, Madden 17. I was
hmm
super heavy into it.
Yeah.
Spent a grip on my squad. Had to get my squad up. You might remember the God Squad.
hmm
I had my roster was loaded,
Oh yeah.
and then I was playing a bunch of games. And there's three players that come to mind that I could never beat. All right, and one of them is you, Earl.
Yeah.
I played you 2 or 3 times. No, I'm not a
Yep.
bunch, just
Yeah.
matching up online. Like we didn't even plan it. We're just searching online.
hmm
And then I get Earl. It's like, oh damn, it's gonna be a sweaty. And
Yeah.
I know I'm either 0-2 or 0-3 versus you,
hmm
in my Madden career. So I'm
Yeah.
over against you. Voltarax.
Voltrax was hell, dude.
Voltarax. Dude,
Yeah.
I could never beat Voltarax. That dude has
Yeah,
all
dude.
the glitchy. He has all the
hmm
glitchy shit. I just can't keep up with it. That dude's probably like 7-0 versus me. I just can't
Yeah.
beat him.
Nah, he's tough, bro. He's tough every year. I haven't really played him much this year. I don't know what he's been doing, but yeah, man, he was super tough.
The swerve? Oh my god, the
The Madden
swerve.
8, the Madden 18 swerve was like the amount of stick skill that had to go into that in terms of defending it, not even just pulling it off, but the fact
Yeah,
that
no, I was
you,
swerving.
yeah, no, it was tough. It was the
Yeah.
defense was so hard because you would have to swerve before he swerves. Make sure you get in perfect position. Like, man, I'm telling a lot of people complain about Madden 18, man, but there was so much skill gap to the defense, regardless of how crazy the zones were. The swerve, man, that was one of the most OP things in all of Madden, you know. So,
Yeah, and the last guy I couldn't beat was Pony. Pony's my
mhm.
guy. Shout out to Pony. He's a phenomenal Madden player. I'm like 0-5, 0-6 versus Pony in my career. So
Yeah,
those are three guys when I'm thinking guys, Madden players that are just phenomenal who I just can't beat. It's
mhm.
those three.
Yeah.
And then I do want to tell you probably my best achievement on Madden was beating True Boy
Mhm.
and You Need Seattle Bum back to back.
Oh wow. Yeah.
That was my claim to fame. And let me tell you, first off, RIP True Boy.
Yeah. Rest in
You
peace, of
know,
True Boy, man. Rest in peace, of
we
Spot.
miss you. He was and Spot Me.
Yep.
And True Boy, man, he was something special. Like he could light up a Twitch chat when he's typing in there,
Yep.
you know.
Absolutely.
And so shout out to True Boy. And he was just labbing against me. Like when I beat him, I know I'm taking it like it's the championship game, and
Yeah.
he's just working on a
He's up there
blitz.
laughing.
He
Yep.
just testing it. So I pulled off a dub, and then I beat Seattle Bum
hmm
back to back. So that was probably the highlight of my Madden career. I think I got a screenshot somewhere
Yeah.
deep in the PS4 archives.
hmm
Uh,
No, I remember those. I remember those days. Shoot, was it? I think it was Madden 16 where I had Silver Blaine Gabbert, and I was using a budget squad. Well, I was using Silver 69 overall Blaine Gabbert, and I beat Seattle Bum too. I think that's what really pissed him off was the fact that I beat him with Blaine Gabbert, bro.
oh, that's
I was throwing
great.
dots all over the field with freaking Blaine, dude. That shit was fun
That's
though.
great. That's
Good time.
great. That's
Yeah.
great. Hey, Earl, I want to dive into some 49er talk, and I got the 49ers depth chart pulled up here because I
hmm
want to ask you about some players. I know we think a little differently. I feel like with our interactions on Twitter
Yeah.
on some of these players. So that's why I was like, man, it'd be great to get Earl on here so we can
hmm
talk about this depth chart. But if we're looking at the wide receiver position, Brandon Ayuk, Debo. First off, let me hear your thoughts on the Debo situation. Just with, I
So
yeah,
yeah, I'd be in spaces once in a while talking about this Devo stuff. I mean, I don't really get into spaces much anymore in the mornings. I don't waste my time with that in terms of the amount of toxicity, the anger. I mean, I've been in enough spaces in the morning to know that's all there. So I tend to stay away from all that.
Yeah. Smart.
It's but the Debo situation as a whole, like I'm not worried about it until it affects training camp or affects week 1.
That's what I'm saying. Because
You
here's where
know?
I'm at. I think the deal's going to get done, and I'm not really stressed out about it. I think it's going to get done right around training camp. That's when the 49ers
Yeah,
typically do their
that's
deal.
when they do their
Warner,
business,
Kittle.
man.
Yeah.
So
Hey,
I'm
shout
not.
out to Amin. Amin's my little Madden prodigy, and I've been schooling him. He knows what the record is, but we won't get there. But hey, Amin, Earl, I don't know if you got Madden 21, and maybe we can make it happen.
Mhm.
But
I got mad at
Earl's
21. That's my
okay.
game.
Maybe
That's where I
for the
went the
culture,
furthest. Yeah.
we'll boot it up one time and run a game. But I'm the underdog. I will tell you that. I mean, this man, I haven't beat him yet. I'm like 0-3 versus him.
Yeah, Madden 21 was my game, man. That was the furthest I ever went in a tournament. So,
Yeah, I
yeah.
remember that. No, you were tough. Um, but yeah, in terms of Debo, okay, it sounds like we both think this thing's going to get done.
Yeah, the thing is, I mean, oh man, the stuff I see on Twitter is crazy to me. I don't know, like there was a tweet that I saw, well, because there was somebody that said that all the 49ers take, like the 49ers brass take care of the extensions basically into the training camp. Fred Warner and Kittle, I think Kittle might got extended before was it OTAs or something. It was like June or
Yeah,
May, and then
yeah.
Fred Warner got extended in July. But then somebody
Mm,
said, well, oh, what about Jimmy Ward and Eric Armstead and Juszczyk? I'm like, dude, those guys were free agents. Like they had to get done before March. So,
yeah,
but
yeah.
the crazy part is that he's another podcaster too, apparently. But he doubled down on a shitty ass take, and that's just like, I feel like that's just the
Mm.
standard. That's just the standard when it comes to the community, 49ers fan base as a whole right now. It's like stand by shitty ass takes. So I'm not stressed about it. Honestly, I feel like it's just a big troll, but obviously it might be a little bit serious now. But I don't know, man. It's not something that'll ever stress me out. Like I'm not gonna lose sleep over Debo's contract situation. Like it's so
It's
stupid.
a
I mean, it's
slow news
nothing.
cycle. That's
Yeah,
what it is,
yeah,
Earl. It's a slow news cycle, so there's not much to go off. But that's why we're not talking that. We're going to be talking 49ers depth chart, hitting on
yeah.
down deep, who's
hmm
breaking out. But I want to touch on this receiving core. Brandon Ayuk, do you expect him to
Oh,
have a
he's gonna.
career year with Trey Lance? You think Brandon Ayuk should have this career year next season?
I really do, man. Ayuk's got this. He looks like the pure number one receiver. Debo is obviously one of one. So in terms of like a true number one, it's tough to say. Like Debo does so much, you can't really call him a number one receiver. You just call him a number one football player. And I think that's
He's just a weapon.
yeah, that's really like we haven't really seen something out of a player like this ever to come across in the NFL. So I think Ayuk's gonna definitely have a breakout year with Lance. I know that back in the first 6 weeks, I guess it came out that Lance was Ayuk's guy or Ayuk was Lance's guy. So it's like, well, a lot of that stuff that happened back then, it was more so Ayuk wasn't putting in the effort that he needed to put in to be able to start and
Mm.
get the reps and all that. So, but I think Ayuk's learned from that. Like some of these guys that go straight into the NFL or get drafted, and then the first year they have a lot of success. Their second year they slump out, or because of the fact they don't put in that same effort that they put in as their rookie year. It's something that happens to the team. Like if the team sees that a guy is not putting in max effort, that all that tells the rest of the
It's a
team is,
bad
hey,
look.
all it tells the rest of the team is like, oh, why do I have to try hard in practice if this guy's not trying hard in practice? So that's
The
the
one
thing
thing I
about
saw
that.
from Ayuk on tape is he's open deep and Jimmy's
Yeah,
not pulling the trigger, and then he would show him up. You know what I mean? With
right.
like he would throw his hands up, like,
hmm
come on, I'm open. And
Yeah,
I know quarterbacks and coaches for the most part don't like you showing up
right.
other players. But
Yeah, I
let's
mean,
keep it moving on. I
yeah.
want to move throughout this wide receiver core. Jawan Jennings and Ray McLeod. This has been my hot take, Earl. Is I
hmm
think Ray McLeod's going to steal. I'm not saying like he's not going to steal all the slot reps from Jawan
Yeah.
Jennings, but I
hmm
think he's going to eat into it a little bit because I think Ray's he's going to have a career year. I think he's a dynamic player
hmm
who can You can use him in the backfield, former
Yep.
running back in high school, and he's good on the end arounds.
Right.
Kyle's got something cooked up for him. So my hot take was I thought Ray McLeod can outgain Jawan Jennings in terms of rushing yards and receiving yards combined.
Okay. I mean, I wouldn't say that it's necessarily a hot take for sure, because I know the Steelers, I think they threw him the ball like close to 40 times when who was it? Was it Claypool that got injured? No, or Juju.
Juju.
Yeah. So when Ray came in, like he got targeted like 40 times. Now his receptions, his yards per reception wasn't all that high, but I mean it's Big Ben. Big Ben didn't have a strong as arm
No,
as Jimmy last year, you know. So it's like
His
Big
arm
Ben
was
was
falling off.
bad. So honestly, like I don't. So this is the thing. I don't know what they're gonna do in the draft in terms of wide receivers. So I think Jawan Jennings is going to be that third down guy. Um, they've been wanting to have a big slot role for a long time. They saw a little bit of success with Trent Taylor, and then he just couldn't handle the physical toughness of the NFL, and the injuries got up to him, and they wanted Jalen Hurd to fill that role. Now they wanted Mohamed Sanu to fill that role, Brandon Matthews to fill that
Jordan
role.
Matthews.
Jordan Matthews, that's right.
Yeah.
So it's like for some odd reason they want the big slot role. They're not too
Yeah, you're
worried
right.
about the quick shifty guy. They want the guy that can get those third down conversions.
See, I think they're going back almost like to the Trent Taylor type of days. I think they do want some of that, and that's what I think Ray McLeod is here to bring.
Yeah.
That's kind of my argument. I think we're kind of going to go back to it. And I'm not saying Ray is going to supplant Jawan. You know, it's probably, I'm thinking maybe it's like a 70-30 split with Jawan leading.
Right.
I just think Ray brings a different dynamic because he's a lot shiftier. His change of direction is special.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm really excited about. I think Ray is going to have a really good season.
What I'm thinking about, I mean, there's so much speed in the draft this year at the wide receiver spot. It's just like
Who you eyeing? Who you eyeing?
I mean, there was close to like 10 players running under 4.4.
No, there was so much speed. I like the kid Danny Gray out of SMU.
Okay.
That's
I haven't really
got
I haven't got into much film though. I want to get into a little bit in the next week or so, but yeah, I haven't really looked into
No, I
other
like Danny
receivers in
Gray. He's a
Christian Watson.
4.3 former track guy. He's
Yeah.
a field stretcher. And
Yeah.
I feel like that's kind of the dynamic that they might be looking for.
Right. No, I think that is true. I think they're gonna try and find that speed guy, that Marquise Goodwin type guy that be able to push the field in terms of the route combinations that Shanahan puts up. Somebody's going to be open all the time, and a lot of people are like, oh well, you know, Jimmy, like he didn't have a strong arm, but those route combinations were to go deep, so they can spread the field out, so that they can get more yak yardage underneath all the deep routes. It's a pool wide receiver if they're just going deep and all the stuff underneath it. You know, you get more yak yards that way.
Yes.
I
feel you.
That's really
Well,
how
I
it
want
all
to move
works.
to this O line, Earl, and I know you've got some experience on the O line. Correct me if I'm wrong. I just feel like back in the day when I was watching, you used to talk about how you played on the O line.
Yeah,
a little bit, right?
Yeah, I played center my senior year, played fullback my junior year. Played a lot of the D line, played linebacker, and then in the Marine Corps I played when we do like intramural stuff, I played safety. Like I know so much about the game of football in general. But I just like when you know everybody's spot on the field, everybody's role, everybody's responsibility, there's no way for any coach to take you off the field. It's just impossible. You know too much.
And Madden helps you also learn about stuff, right?
No, for sure.
Coverages and all that stuff, defensive formations, and that's where I feel like Madden's also kind of aided me in just when you're
learning,
understanding the game in depth, like the finer details.
Right. And a lot of these Madden players, I mean, a lot of them, they really haven't played football, but they know the way the game responds or the game how the game is made. But there's two different ways to playing professionally. You either take what you know from playing the game of football and apply it to Madden, or just understand how the game plays and then play the game that way. But yeah, going back to your point, offensive line. Let's see what we got here. Trent Williams, obviously locked
in, stud.
Yeah, I think Aaron Banks is going to be the starting left guard.
I think so too. I think so
Yeah,
too.
I think that was the plan going into this year. With I think they already had it in their mind like they can't pay Lakin Tomlinson. They can't. They don't pay guards. So as much as I
That's
wanted
true.
Lakin to stay, like he had a really solid 3 or 4 years with us. But he
Absolutely.
deserves his money. This is like the last big contract they could probably get. So
Hey, 49ers drafted a guard in the second round. When
yeah.
you draft a guard in the second round, he's got to play year 2. Year
Mhm.
1, okay, you didn't play him. Year
Yeah.
2, he's got to play. He's a second round pick.
Right.
So we'll see. Do you have a feel on Aaron Banks? I mean, I was at the Chiefs preseason game, Earl.
Mhm.
He was getting worked. And
No,
I
he
kept on
was.
looking up at the Jumbotron and I
Yeah.
was like, "Oh dear, that's our second round pick Banks getting worked."
Yeah, so apparently he had a couple injuries and he was moved into the right guard spot, fighting with Brunskill, even though he's more of a left guard. So it's a little bit it's a little bit interesting as to how they're gonna utilize him. I think this whole draft, from last year, at least 3 of the picks were dependent on this year. So they were kind of building for the future around Trey Lance than they were about building
I
these guys
gotcha.
up
I
for
gotcha. Yeah,
building
and
these
we'll
guys
touch
up
on
for
a couple
Jimmy.
guys.
Yeah.
I know who you're talking about.
So
So center, it sounds like Alex Mack is back.
yep.
That's the word on the street, which is feels good. That's a
Yeah.
whole plug
No.
center position. We know that's important in the Shanahan offense. Right guard, Brunskill. How do you feel about Brunskill?
I like him versus the Rams. I don't like him anywhere else. That's my take on Brunskill. I mean, I saw
Yeah,
Tom
you're right.
Compton.
You're right.
Yeah, I saw Tom Compton get beat so bad, bro. But obviously Brunskill didn't help either. Like that right side was so bad this year. People want to talk about, oh,
The
Tom
right
Tom
side's been the
Compton did
Achilles
great.
heel for the last few years.
Yeah, and that's the thing about McGlinchey. If we're gonna talk about yeah, I don't want Brunskill, man. I'd rather see Colton McKivitz. Maybe Jalen Moore can play right guard.
Well, when they drafted Moore, even though he played left tackle in college, they
Yeah.
said like on draft night, they're like, we envision him as a guard.
Mhm.
So you could be right. Maybe it's Jalen Moore filling in at right guard.
And that wouldn't be too bad. I feel like he's a better pass protector than a run protector or a run blocker, but
Mm,
you can be molded into a run blocker. It's not. It's. I mean, running running the ball as an offensive lineman. That's what every offensive lineman's dream is. So it'd be easier for him to be built into a run blocker than it is a pass blocker. So it's very possible. It's very possible Jalen Moore becomes that right guard.
and then right
So.
tackle, I feel like that's a bit of a question mark too, with McGlinchey coming off the
Mhm.
quad.
Serious
Uh,
injury, man. It's a serious injury for offensive linemen. You really have to you learn how to. It's worse than an ACL because all that shit is literally connected to your knee and connected to the bottom of your leg and all the rest of the shit. Like you basically have to not only just learn to walk again, you have to learn how to lift weights again. Like an
damn.
ACL is
Which I
pretty.
saw a video came out and
Yeah,
he's doing some
he
squats and
looks
it
solid.
looks pretty good.
He was training with Kinlaw and I guess they're best buddies now, which is a good thing. That's awesome. I honestly think like if he's 310 and that scale says 310, I believe he's 310. I don't think McGlinchey is the person to lie or anything like that about his weight. But I mean, did he look skinny? The dude's 6'8", bro. The dude is 6'8". Like that dude's gonna look thin no matter what at 6'8".
And still, man, he shouldn't be. We shouldn't be judging someone's weight right now. Like the dude's coming
Right.
off an injury.
Yeah.
Let's see where he's at come training camp because we
Hmm.
still got some time between now and then. So
Yeah.
it's like that. I don't think we even need to be judging that.
There's a lot of time, man. There's so much time. I mean,
That's what it
there's
is.
a lot of NFL players, a lot of offensive linemen in the NFL that tend to lean back a little bit in the offseason. And then when they start packing the weight on, it comes around OTAs or comes around training camp. That's when they pack all the weight on. I mean, you look at Joe Staley. Joe Staley said he sometimes get down to 275, 285 in the offseason, and he
Wow.
would just pack all the weight back on. So, I mean, they're eating close to 4 or 5,000 calories a day, dude. That shit's intense. That's
No,
not
no, I
easy
feel
to
you.
be an
Yes,
offensive lineman,
that's a
man.
job in itself.
Yeah.
And I want to ask you kind of just on some reserve offensive linemen who have gotten
Mhm.
some playing time, right? Like a Justin Skule
Yeah.
I think he's coming off an ACL, if I'm not
Mhm.
mistaken.
Yeah.
And then the other boy, McKivitz. What do you
Mhm.
think about those two? You got any thoughts on them?
So they really really like McKivitz, and I think he did fill in what pretty well last year. I think he played what left tackle when Trent was out.
He did. Yeah, he
Yeah.
did. He in
So
the
he
must-win game
Yep.
against the Rams, what is
Yep.
that? Week 18, the
Week
last game of
18.
the year.
Yep.
Yeah.
Week 18. So Colton, he definitely looked a lot better when he came in this year than he did last year. Colton was not ready to play, but he definitely stepped in like for Trent Williams really, really well in that game. He had a fight against what Leonard Floyd, Aaron Donald, like I think
No
he got
doubt.
beat maybe twice the entire
Yeah,
game.
Von Miller
Yeah,
might have
Von
lined up
Miller.
over there.
Yeah. So I mean that's a tough matchup. So
You're right. He
I'm
held up. Yeah, I like
yeah.
McKivitz more than Skule. I'm not a Skule guy. He's
Hmm.
kind of like he gets beat versus a power rusher, kind of like
Yeah.
Brunskill, but the
Right.
tackle version, where it's like
Hmm.
they're just susceptible. If you get a powerful defensive
Yeah.
lineman, they're just going to walk them back.
Right.
But
In terms of
I want to get to
yeah.
the next position here, Earl, and well, that's the tight end position. George Kittle.
I
I
don't like the
mean,
backup tight ends. I don't like them at all.
damn, Earl, you know
I don't
what?
like them.
I thought we were gonna get one in free agency.
Yeah.
That's where I'm looking at this $27 million that's Jimmy Garoppolo's occupying right now and saying,
Yeah.
man, you needed to use that money to go get a tight end. Austin
I think
Hooper
they're
was a
drafting one.
value,
Hmm. I think they're gonna
and
draft one. I think they are
that
because
has to be the plan.
yeah.
That has to be the plan. I'm with you. And you know what? I've done some draft scouting, but
Hmm.
the tight end position is not one I've gotten to, and that
Yeah.
might be one I got to pinpoint here in this next week because I think you're absolutely right. I expected something free in free agency. We didn't get it. I'm
Yep.
looking at Hooper and Hayden Hurst as very affordable contracts,
Yeah.
but it might be the draft. So,
I really firmly believe it's a draft, man. I mean, all signs point to it. The letting go of John Embry, that was jeez. The amount of backlash
mm, mm.
the Niners got for letting go of John Embry, like, and it was not warranted either. Like,
It
like they
ended
were
up not
bringing
being warranted. Yeah.
right. They brought in what's it, Anthony Lynn and made him the assistant head coach. John Embry had assistant head coach duties. The Niners said, "Hey, we're bringing in a guy that had actual head coach experience. We're gonna make him the assistant head coach, right?" So they asked John Embry, "Hey, you're gonna take a pay cut?" Like, and the whole stuff came out. I was like, "Oh, why are you making this guy take a pay cut?" And this is when all the racism stuff that was going on and about
Yeah.
Brian
Yeah.
Flores, and
I
everybody
wasn't
wanted to
really
pin.
feeling that.
Yeah, everybody wanted to pin. I'm like, "Oh, the Niners are a racist organization because they didn't want to pay Embry for whatever he's worth." And the thing about that, man, like Embry, like they might want to. There's a couple things. This is my theory about Embry is like George Kittle is that's his guy, right? But Embry was
Yeah.
also the guy that said like, "Hey, you better not go out of bounds. You better um, not take a hit. You better not deliver a hit." Like
Yeah.
that's the thing
Just the
about it.
physical
The
style.
physical style that Kittle brings to like maybe the Niners don't want that type of style out of Kittle, even though that's like to protect him from himself, because Kittle can't protect him from himself. You know what I'm saying? So like that's
Every
pretty
time. Yeah,
yeah,
every
you
time he's
know.
fighting, dude. He's
Yep.
fighting, and then you get
So
two guys on you, you're fighting, then you
yep.
get a third guy who's diving at your knees, and
And he's one of the older guys on the team. He's gonna be like what, 27, 28, something like that.
yeah,
So
yeah, yeah. He might
they're
be coming
trying
up
to
on
they're trying to
29
preserve
here.
him. I think I personally feel they're trying to preserve him, and the philosophy that Embry brought to the tight end position. It only worked for Kittle. It didn't work out for Charlie Warner. It didn't work out for Ross Dwelly. I don't think they're good tight ends, and I don't think that Embry brought out the best in them. And it showed over the last 2 to 3 seasons that, you know what, maybe these
Ross
tight
Dwelly
ends
couldn't
ain't
even get on the field.
right.
Charlie Warner, I mean,
Charlie
he
Warner
would
was
he
a lot
didn't.
better. He was better.
Oh, he got better. He got
He
better, but
definitely
he's not
got
a
better.
weapon. He's not a
Yeah.
weapon at the tight end too. And they tried the Jordan Reed thing, right?
Hmm.
Where it's like they
He was
experimented.
yeah, he was pretty good though until he got injured. So it's like I like Jordan Reed on the team. I mean we saw what, one game with him with Kittle? because they were both
Yeah.
in and out of the 2020 lineup. So
Mhm.
it was definitely a rough year that year in terms of everybody. So yeah, tight ends
So
definitely
yeah,
need some work.
I agree with you, and I like your point about the draft. That kind of
Yeah,
perked my ears up. I might have to dive into these tight end prospects,
yeah.
but
There's
the
some really
quarterback position, Earl.
yeah.
I want to get to the quarterback position because
Go for it.
I feel like you've been more of a Jimmy guy than I have. Just the
Mhm.
last couple years, I've kind of been just fed up with him.
Yeah.
I just think he's solid, but he's just mediocre, and I just want better. So I'm
Mhm.
curious, what are you thinking about the quarterback position? Do you want Jimmy back another year? What's your mindset here?
I've been Trey Lance since day one, since we drafted him. I was like, I even put out a tweet. I'm like, it was literally not more than 2 days. I was like, Trey Lance is gonna be the day one starter. This was last season, and
Yeah.
then Adrian Colbert comments on it. He says cap. That's all he said, and I was like,
Oh,
these guys know something, like he something about this leadership qualities that Jimmy has, man. It's like,
it's real.
yeah, it's literally like a hold on these players, man. So, but
You
it
know
is
what?
Trey
I
Lance's team.
commented on. So I'm sorry to interrupt you. I
No, you good.
commented on Adrian Colbert when he was
Mhm.
streaming on Twitch. Right, this
Yeah,
was early. Like I'm one of his first subscribers. Right, he was just
yeah.
streaming on Twitch, and I said, yeah, "Can Nick Mullins?" This is when I'm listening to my boy Grant. Right, Grant's been
Yeah.
talking up Nick Mullins. I
Oh,
said, "Can
geez.
Nick Mullins compete with Jimmy G to be the starter?" Right, because
Mhm.
that's what Grant was pumping at the time.
Yeah.
And Adrian Colbert said, "Nah, man, Jimmy's a vet." Like that's that's Jimmy talking
Yeah.
like Jimmy's this like superstar. But you're right.
Yep.
He he gives people this sense of security.
Yeah.
Like they just love the guy.
Right. And I mean, is it a warranty? I mean, we don't know what goes on in the locker room. I feel like that's the different things about it, man. If you got a quarterback that has intangible leadership, that can go way more than just play on the field goes. It's a strange way to think like that, but that's technically how these guys feel, man. No matter what happens in the game, dude, like they always gonna have Jimmy's back, which is, I mean, it's cool, but I mean, they're loyal to a fault, bro. So it's tough. But honestly, going back to your question, it's definitely gonna be Trey Lance's team. Um, I think it's
Okay.
already been pretty much set in stone as that's gonna happen. I think it's all based on Jimmy's injury, which he does have an injury. I don't think that's some sort of conspiracy theory. Did the timing of the injury come up at a very strange time in terms of the surgery? Sure, but I said it in spaces before. A lot of players in the NFL try to wait, see if they can heal on their own without surgery. Because once they get that surgery, they know they're out 3 to 4, 5, 6, 7 months at a time. Instead of, what, I'm able to just sit back, relax, and this will heal over a month. It didn't heal for Jimmy, so he got a surgery, and it was terrible timing because free agency started. So,
And I'm with you. I wasn't with the conspiracy that him and his agent
mhm,
decided to wait to try to get released or whatever it is. I don't buy it.
right.
I'm with you there. Although I was always of the mindset for the last year or so, Earl, that Jimmy G had no trade value
Mhm.
because I think he's average and mediocre. He's
Yeah.
overpaid. He was getting paid up there with Russell Wilson and Matt Stafford. He's not on their caliber. So I was always pushing back when people were saying, "Oh, Jimmy's going to fetch a second round pick, third round pick." I was saying, not so fast.
Yeah.
I'm not sure GMs are willing to trade draft capital to bring in a mediocre quarterback at $27 million, or they would get him for 25.
Well,
So I
I
was
mean
always, yeah.
the Carson Wentz stuff. What do you think about the Carson Wentz stuff? Because he's worse. He's worse. I've watched a lot of Carson Wentz, regardless of the numbers he put up. Bro, he was bad. Like,
Carson Wentz will skip. He'll skip a swing pass. He is going to
yeah.
skip a swing pass or two. I might take, honestly, I lean the Carson Wentz way. I think Carson Wentz and Jimmy G are in the same tier, in my
Mhm.
opinion. And you might have called me out when I sent that tweet. Now that I'm talking about it,
Maybe.
I
I
think
think
they're in the same tier.
yeah.
And I actually got Carson Wentz just barely ahead of Jimmy because I think he can make some of the throws that Jimmy just doesn't down the field. Does
Yeah.
Carson, does Carson also throw an interception because the safety read his eyes? Yeah, that's going to happen too. But he does have a big arm,
Mhm.
and I got Carson Wentz just barely ahead of Jimmy. So I think they're the same tier in my O.
I mean, that's definitely fair. The thing about Jimmy though, man, is there was stuff that he has elite traits, and the stuff that is elite is obviously everybody wants to talk about his release, but it's the fact that he could still throw over the middle of the field in tight windows, even though the defense knows that he's going to throw in the middle of the field. You know,
And
like
with someone
that's
breathing down his neck.
yeah,
Like he'll
exactly.
do it with dudes in his face. Like I'll
Right.
give Jimmy credit where his credit's due.
Yeah. So that's really just like the misconception of like, oh, he was trash. I'm like, whenever I hear somebody say that he's trash, I just let that go in one ear and out the other because the dude is between the top 17, the top 20 quarterback in the league. That's just how it was. And in the year that we went to the Super Bowl, he was borderline 10 to 12 that season in terms of the stuff that he was doing. You know, people want to bring up the playoffs, bring up the playoffs. On the Packers game, they only passed the ball 8 times. Like you're averaging almost 7 yards a play on the ground. Why are you passing the ball? Why would you risk your quarterback getting injured before a Super Bowl? It doesn't make sense, right?
No, anytime you can run the ball down the defense throat, that's what you
Right.
do. Always. Madden, real life, whatever it is. That's if you don't have to throw the ball because there's more risk when you're putting that ball in the air,
Yep.
no matter who's at quarterback.
Right. Exactly.
But I'm with
So,
you. Jimmy, he's in that 15 range, wherever it's at.
yeah.
I just want something better, Earl.
Oh,
And that's what I'm
100%.
hoping
And
Trey
that's what the
Lance is like.
Niners want.
I don't
Yeah.
want to strive for that mediocrity. Like, I want Lance in there because there's a dynamic element to his game. And I
It's
think we're
11
going to be
11.
taking more shots. The field's going to open up, right? Because
Yep.
Jimmy's playing in that middle, in that kind of that 20-yard range, kind
Right.
of seems to be his 15 to 20 is kind of his sweet spot in terms of,
Yeah.
if he's working deeper.
Right.
But let's keep it moving. Let's see going on. Trey Lance, yeah. Shoot. Next up, we got the running backs, Earl. This
Running
is one
backs
I
are fun.
definitely wanted to get your opinion on because Eli Mitchell, right?
Yep.
Do you see him as locked in running back one? I'm talking about talent wise. We know he's the lead back on the 49ers roster as it
Yeah.
stands right now, right? But just talent wise, do you see him as an RB1 or you think he's an RB2?
I think he's an RB in terms of fantasy. If we were to talk just pure fantasy, I think he's an RB2 with RB1 upside. I think so. In terms of like reality, I also believe that too, because he did go through some really like strenuous injuries last season, but the man still turned. It was kind of like watching Frank Gore-esque in terms of the way that he didn't really lose yards. Like he would get 3 to 4 yards and then still lower the shoulder and pick up 1 or 2 more yards. So it's definitely I like Elijah Mitchell. I think a lot of people have this misconception that the Niners were able to get him uh, wide open on touches and stuff like that. So it's like honestly, I mean the dude's a 6th-round rookie last year. Like he doesn't really. I don't know. We have to give him another season to figure out if he's truly an RB1. But I don't think that's what Shanahan wants in his running backs. I think he just wants a bunch of guys that could fit his system in terms of, hey, I want a third down back that can consistently catch the ball. That's like Jeff Wilson, Hasty. Sermon's actually pretty decent out of the backfield.
Yeah.
So I feel like he doesn't really want a pure number one. I mean, when's the last time he had a pure number one back? Like he had Devontae Freeman, but he also shared touches with Tevin Coleman. So it's like I don't know, man. In terms of Elijah Mitchell being the number one, I could see it. I could definitely see him being the number one
Yeah.
back.
See,
I think
I think
Sermon.
he's going to be right
Yeah.
now. He's the number one guy, but
Mhm.
I see him just like talent wise. I think he'd be a really good number two.
Yeah.
That's just kind of where I'm at. Like if he's your number two, that's great. Number one, it's like, okay, he's
Mhm.
solid. So I'm
Yeah.
still looking for that. Still looking for an upgrade. And the only way, like, I don't want to draft a running back
Mhm.
unless this kid from Michigan State's there at 61, Earl. This guy,
Yeah.
Kenneth Walker the third. Like, trust me, I don't want to draft a running back, but I think this guy,
Right.
Kenneth Walker, is special. Who
Okay.
could be this potential workhorse that I think they got him going more like early second, so he's probably
Mhm.
not going to be there. But if
Okay.
he was there at 61, I couldn't pass him up. Other than that, I'm drafting, just like Eli last year, 5th round, 6th round
Yeah.
running back.
Right. No, I mean that's definitely fair. That's definitely fair. I mean, there's
But Trey Sermon, you were talking about Trey Sermon before I cut you off.
yeah. I think I mean we seen some of the stuff out of like Instagram and stuff like that. Trey Sermon working, and I feel like last year he wasn't obviously he wasn't utilized. He didn't seem all that happy either. Um,
No.
but it seems like he's locked and loaded to go into the season is trying to find for that number one spot. You know, like that's kind of what they drafted him to be. You know, the RB1. And last year's draft was more predicative on this year. You know, like
Hmm.
Lance obviously for the future, Aaron
You,
Banks
you
for the
think
future.
Lance is more of a pairing with Trey Sermon?
Absolutely, absolutely. I think what they're trying to do now is trying to build a more power zone offense instead of
Mm,
just pure zone. Um, I think that's why they want to get bigger. You know, like Aaron Banks is a pretty big guy. You know, like not something they usually go for in the draft or in free agency. They normally go for really, really agile, being
smaller
able to move
guys.
in, yeah, small
Yeah.
guys so they can get out there and block safeties and linebackers. So I feel like they're definitely trying to go the power run route, and I think that's definitely going to suit Trey Sermon's style in terms of like being able to read the hole, but also be able to
What
like lower his
formation are
shoulders
you?
a little
Is it
bit.
would that be like a pistol or are you in like the
Yeah,
full gun?
so there's going to be a lot more full gun, I think. But they're all. I mean, Trey Lance, he did play action stuff. Like he's taught in college. So you
That's
know,
right.
like
You could be under center.
out of
Yeah.
anybody in the draft class, he was under center more than anybody. So it's going to be a very interesting offense. I'm can't wait for the season to start. Low
I'm
key,
thinking it's
or
gonna be
just like
pistol, Earl.
yeah, no,
I'm
it's
thinking it's gonna
possible.
be a lot of pistol. When I
Yeah.
was going back and I was watching after we drafted Lance, I started watching some RG3 back in
Hmm.
2012 just to
Yeah.
see. That's a long time ago,
Right.
but just to see how Shanahan was using a mobile quarterback, and it
Right.
was a ton of pistol.
Yeah.
And I saw a little pistol with Lance, like
Hmm.
it's still in the playbook. There's still some
Right.
pistol. I'm thinking it's going to come more to the forefront, and we're going to see additional pistol.
No, I mean that's definitely fair because Alfred Morris had his best season. He had like 1,700 yards that year.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know,
And
so it's
he
very
wasn't even the
possible.
first running back they drafted. They drafted
Hmm.
Roy Halou
Yeah.
earlier,
Yep.
and kind of like the Eli Mitchell, Trey Sermon
Yep.
situation where the guy who's drafted later
I think
supplants
yeah,
the.
and I think that's what's going to happen. I think they drafted Trey Sermon in a role that they see Alfred Morris that was in. You know, in the role, same role.
Mhm.
So it's pretty exciting to really think about when it comes to Trey Sermon and what he could bring to the offense.
And Kyle Juszczyk is going to be the last offensive player. I mean, he's a
Yep.
weapon. I feel like you got to get him the ball even more.
I think they're going to utilize him a lot. A lot. If they're not going to go two tight ends, you're going to see a lot of Kittle, Juszczyk, Lance. Like you're going to see these guys move around the offense. So
Yeah, let's go to the defensive side of the ball because I want to keep it around that hour mark.
yeah, no doubt.
So, man, I don't know why D Ford's still on this depth chart. Well, I mean, what are we looking at here? Don't they know
I
D Ford?
mean,
But he's still
yeah.
on. We haven't released him, right?
No, we have not.
No. Okay.
I think it's the same case with Jimmy. I think they're trying to do like a post June 1st release, so they
Gotcha.
save them some money. Yeah.
Gotcha. That's right. That's right. That's okay. I wasn't expecting to see him here. Okay. Kinlaw, we know there's a bit of a question mark there, but it's been encouraging, right? What
Yeah.
we've been seeing on social media, him working out, running
Yeah.
around.
A lot of his issues was I think it was knee tendonitis coming out of school, and they said that like full ACL reconstruction could alleviate a lot of the tendonitis in the knee. So we'll see what happens, man.
Okay.
So
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah, I'm hoping for the best because when I was watching him at South Carolina, Earl,
Dude
this
was a
guy
monster.
he's moving people, dude.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying he's a technician. Like he's
Mm-mm.
not. I think the hand use can get better. That
Yeah.
maybe that's something that can be coached up. But just his bull rush, Earl, he's walking these guards just back into
Hmm.
the
And
quarterback.
he was doing that his rookie year. He was walking these
He
guys
was.
back, you
He
know.
was.
So he had quite a
And that's
few. I
not going to
mean,
get you the sack numbers, Earl.
no, no,
But
no.
as we know, man, it's hard to throw the ball as a quarterback.
When
When
you're
it's hard
getting
to
shit,
survey the
yeah.
field when
Hmm.
someone's getting pushed right into your
Yep.
face.
Not only that, like it makes the edges on the outside, like in terms of pass rush lanes. If you collapse the pocket, a quarterback has no room to step up, so they step backwards, and that's when
Yeah,
Bosa and Minihu and Ebukam, like I'm telling you, man, like pass rush could be really scary with a healthy Kinlaw. So
Oh, that's a great point. And we know obviously Bosa, monster, all pro,
yep.
who also needs to get re-signed. But rather than talk about Bosa and his greatness all day, I want to ask you, who else on this D line do you think is gonna explode or just have a breakout season? That's what I'm looking for, because I got a name or two.
Yeah, I think that Colts guy. What's his name?
Yeah, Kamiko Ture, the
Yeah,
guy
I
we
think.
just signed a
Yep.
few days ago.
So he got what 5.5 sacks with a defensive line that wasn't nearly as good as what the Niners have. Obviously, you got Buckner there, but even Buckner had a kind of quiet season. But now this guy's got Chris Kasarik, which is like the defensive line master god in terms of being able to get shit out of players that are like they're like outcasts
Yeah.
for their team. So I mean,
Arden Key had 3 sacks in 3 years and then comes
yeah,
here and gets
he's last
6 or
7.
7.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Ebukam, like he had a slow start to the season, but he even said it, once he started getting comfortable in the defensive scheme and he started to not think as much, which is like when you're a defensive lineman, you tend to think a lot when you don't really need to. You just gotta focus on your keys. So once he started focusing on his keys, man, that's when he got 6 sacks in 6 games towards the end of the year.
Yes, yes.
So
Yeah.
like
He came on strong.
and he was a 3-4 defensive end, standing up 3-4 defensive end for the Rams. So
That's right. No, they
you
were
know,
because I was watching some Ebukam film just to see what we got in him, and it's like the
yeah,
Rams would drop him into coverage.
hmm
They were, they would. He was doing all sorts of stuff. He wasn't
right.
just a pass rusher
It was
for the Rams.
yeah, and that's the thing about like if you're a pass rusher, but you also have to worry about coverage. That's like you got to think way too much. Like you're not allowed to
Yeah.
play full to your full speed because you're just thinking, oh well, you know what? What if I mess up this coverage? What if I mess up this assignment? What if I mess up this gap? It's like you're not allowed to play full speed. So
It's like we simplify it. Hey,
you
Ebukam,
simplify it.
go get the
Absolutely.
quarterback.
Yep.
That's what we're doing.
Yep.
Kerry Hyder, I like the Kerry Hyder edition. I
I
thought
love
he
it.
was relentless when
Yep.
we seen him last time he was on the
Yep.
49ers. Just
2020 was our best pass rusher. Bosa went down, and
yeah.
dude had like 8 sacks or something. I love the Kerry Hyder that came back. That's awesome. Charles
Yeah.
Omenihu
Yeah.
made some big plays in the playoffs. Charles Omenihu. So
Yeah.
I'm
That's
definitely
another big
excited about this
that's
D
another
line.
big end. I like Omenahu. And let me
Yep.
tell you my breakout guy, because I put out a video, a YouTube video. It's on my channel of some
Is it
Kevin
Ridgeway?
Givens
Oh,
highlights.
Givens. Okay.
Yeah, Kevin Givens,
hmm
where Earl, his acceleration at the snap of the ball is just
Yeah.
phenomenal. Like I see him
No.
shooting gaps at the
Yeah.
snap. He's coming in practically untouched, whether whether it's in the run,
hmm
occasionally in the pass game. So I think he's a guy, especially with Kinlaw. There's a little bit of uncertainty there, and I
Yeah.
don't think he's really, you know, going to get a ton of pass rushing snaps. I see him more on rundowns or base
Yeah.
downs. So I'm looking for, like last year, Arden Key shifted inside. Like who's going to
Yep.
be in the speed package to go after the quarterback?
hmm
And that's where I think it could be Givens. I've liked Kevin Givens.
Yeah. It
Yeah,
definitely
I
could
want
be
to hear what
Givens.
you got to say on Givens.
It could. No, I really like Givens. I saw a lot of stuff in his like workouts before the season started. I know. I think he had a couple injuries, or he was just buried by the depth chart that the Niners have on the D line. So it's
Yeah.
hard for him to get in there. But I honestly I like Ridgeway a lot too. We just picked him up from
Yes.
the Eagles.
Yes.
Let's see. There was another one I can't think of. I mean, oh yeah, Maurice Hurst. We just cut him and then re-signed him because they wanted to do something with the contract stuff.
Yeah,
So
you know what, Mo Hurst, I was excited about him last year, but he had the calf or the ankle
yeah,
thing again. Like that's what he had with the Raiders. He missed like a whole season with the Raiders, then he missed a season with us. So now I'm kind of like, I don't know about you, Hurst. You missed practically the last 2 years with
right.
the same injury. So I don't know about that one. I was
hmm
excited about him last year because he's
Yeah.
also could be a potential. You're right. If he's right, because
hmm
I liked him last year. Now
Yeah.
I'm a little skeptical. But Earl, you might be talking me back into some Maurice Hurst.
It's a lot of rotational depth there in the inside, man. Because who played on the inside. Obviously, Armstead plays on the inside, then kicks out. But I
Mhm.
think they're trying to keep him more inside now. So
It was working well. It was
yeah,
working well
so
last year. I would try to
yeah.
keep him on the inside too.
So that's definitely the plan. Let's see I think that's everybody, right?
Yeah, yeah, no,
Jordan
we're
Willis
going
too.
linebacker. Oh, yes,
Yeah,
Jordan Willis.
Jordan
Go ahead.
Willis.
Talk about Jordan Willis.
Man, I think I was actually kind of shocked that we were able to bring him back. I was really shocked.
Dude, you seen
Yeah,
his combine numbers?
bro, he's an athlete, dude, like super
You know
athlete.
that, Matt. You know all the Madden traits. Who's got the speed at
Dude,
defensive
wow,
end?
yeah,
Who's
he's got
got
like,
he's
yeah,
got that size, speed, strength
mhm.
on the
He's a
Madden
problem, bro.
attributes. I
He's
remember
a
I was
problem.
drafting him when I was doing franchise because you could
Yep,
develop him, and all of a sudden
yep,
you got a 90 speed defensive end with a
hmm
92 overall.
yeah.
So he's
No, he
got the
was,
tools.
yep, speed rusher, man. I mean, but he's got some power to him. So
Yeah,
I'm
dude,
pretty
that's
excited about Jordan Willis, man.
no, you know what?
We missed him for 6 games last
I
year
could
because
see
of
him being like
PEDs.
the lead sack guy after Bosa. So number
Yeah.
two. I could
Okay.
see that potential. I'm
hmm
saying the potential's there with Jordan Willis.
Yeah,
That's a great point before we move to linebacker.
for sure.
Because yeah, where's linebacker at? Yeah, right here. We all know Fred. So Fred Warner, phenomenal. We know how
Yep.
good he is in coverage. That's what separates him from the average linebacker is that this guy's like a safety. He's like a DB and a
hmm
linebacker in the same guy. When he's
Yeah.
dropping into that zone coverage, a lot of times these linebackers are just covering grass, Earl.
Right.
They're just
No,
covering
that's
grass
the
out there.
truth.
Fred Warner's got that awareness where he can see the deep dig coming, jump a route, just like he
Yep.
did, jump a curl route like he did in the Super Bowl,
Yep.
intercepted the Mahomes pass.
I mean,
So Fred Warner's
he ran what was it, 2019. Marquise Brown was coming over the middle, and he ran with Marquise Brown over the middle
wow.
and batted down that pass. And I think that was when the game was super rainy too. So it's like he was able to get all the
Oh, the
clean
mud
tracks
game.
made.
I
Yeah,
remember the mud game.
yeah. So that was pretty incredible of his range in terms of being able to keep up with Marquise Brown, which is a 4.2 something guy,
Yeah,
So
that dude's fast as hell, Hollywood.
yeah, yep.
Hey,
But
but
let's
I wanna
see.
ask you after Warner, right?
hmm
Are you a Greenlaw guy or are you a Al-Shaair guy?
I'm an Alshire guy. The
All
amount of
day. Well, I mean, I
the
like
amount of yeah,
Greenlaw, but I'm an Al-Shaair guy.
yeah. Nah, the amount of physicality that Alshire brings, it reminds me a lot of Reuben Foster, his season.
Mm.
In terms of pure physicality, like nobody wanted to get tackled by Alshire. Like even the most routine tackles, you still see that visible extra pop that he put on players. And
No
not only
doubt,
that,
no
like he had
doubt.
good
Yeah.
instincts too. He has really good instincts. He's pretty well. He does. I mean, he had his occasional mishaps and missed tackles, but like Greenlaw last year, he was missing gap assignments. He wasn't Greenlaw of 2019. I guess that's
Mm,
the easiest way to say it.
and he was
Shair,
also bit by the injury bug too.
yeah. And what's so crazy, and you might think this is a hot take, but when Navarro Bowman and Patrick Willis were playing together, everybody that time where everybody's like, Navarro Bowman might be better than Patrick right now. I'm not saying Alshire is better than Fred, but those two together were those two guys could be elite together for a long time. I think.
I think so too.
I'm a big Alshire guy, man. So see
Yeah.
how that
No,
works out.
yeah. No, I love Al-Shaair. I remember just reading an article about him coming out of the draft, and like the coaches would tell him to like go home because he was
Yeah,
watching so much film after the game and after practice. They're like,
it
dude, it's
shows.
10 p.m. Like you need to go.
Yeah,
And that's
no,
what put
it
me on
shows,
to him.
man.
Then you see him on the field flying around, making all these
hmm
plays. I love Al-Shaair. But then Greenlaw, it's like that's a
Yeah,
hell of a third linebacker
it
when he's
is.
right.
I mean, you don't. There's teams that don't even have one. So I mean, if we're gonna have three, like obviously you have your All Pro one, and then I think Alshire is gonna be a Pro Bowler next year, and then Greenlaw is a solid third. So hopefully, but I mean that's why I wasn't too upset about oh they didn't get Bobby Wagner. I'm like cool, it would have been awesome to have Bobby Wagner and Fred Warner,
No,
but it's
man,
like
I knew that was always
they're
bullshit. We weren't
yeah.
getting no fucking Bobby Wagner. Like, come on.
I just thought that was funny, man. And
No,
not only
that's
that,
the shit that
yeah.
annoys me a little bit on Twitter. Everyone's like, "Yeah, let's go get Bobby Wagner." It's like, dude,
hmm
come the fuck on.
Right. Like we didn't. It's not a need for the Niners. It's not. Like
Like we
linebacker
don't
is
have
not
the
a need.
money. Like, oh yeah, Bobby Wagner's gonna take 5 mil a year to come to the 49ers. Like
Right.
that makes fucking sense.
Yeah. I mean, what is it? A 3-year deal for the Rams, or is it 1 year, or what was it?
I don't fucking know. These goddamn
Yeah.
LA teams, like the
Yeah.
Dodgers are fucking loaded. They get Freddie Freeman. I'm all pissed off about that. Rams are signing Allen Robinson
Yeah, they
and
got Allen Robinson and Bobby Wagner. That's their 2 major signings this year.
yeah.
So it is what it
I'm
is.
sick of LA. Beat LA. Let's go.
We were quarterback away, bro. To be honest. So I
Well,
don't know, man.
okay, we got. I want to move. Okay, we touched on linebacker.
Got corners.
The secondary. This will be the last topic because we're leaving out the special teams.
Oh, that's easy.
But
Yeah.
the secondary, right? The Charvarius Ward signing. I don't know if you know anything about him, but it's got me excited.
Yeah, Charvarius Ward. I was seeing a lot of stuff about his run stopping ability, and what the Niners pride themselves is stopping the run first. That should be paramount for every team. But Charvarius Ward was like 3rd in total missed tackle percentage, which is the top 3 in the entire league at corner.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
so he was a
I
really,
didn't know
really
that.
good.
That's something I didn't know. I know I've heard his the quarterback passer rating when targeted was really good for
Yep.
Charvarius Ward.
Yep.
I've heard that one, but not about the missed tackles.
Yep. So he had very, very, very few missed tackles over, I think, his career. So like 3 or 4 years. So he's a long, rangy corner. I love that he's only 25 years old. I'm glad we didn't go out there and get another 30-year-old plus corner. Everybody's like, oh, they could have got Gilmore. I'm like, bro, Gilmore's been coming off a couple injuries himself. Like Charvarius Ward is a really, really solid corner.
He
So
just
I'm
had
really,
his best year last season.
right. So I'm excited about Charvarius Ward, man. I'm excited about Ambry Thomas. I think what's going to happen is nickel packages. Emmanuel Mosley's going to drop down to the slot if they don't draft a pure slot corner. A pure slot corner that I'm looking at right now, he's small, but is Marcus Jones, I think his name is. He's like 5'9".
He's a fan favorite on Twitter. I know he can return. He can return it.
Yep.
He's making plays in the slot, and I wouldn't be opposed to it. I like what I've seen from Marcus Jones.
So, I mean, if you could lock up a guy in the slot, man, that's where the majority of the balls go to is a slot. I'd be surprised how many passes go into the slot. Cooper Kupp, I think, caught majority of his passes a slot receiver.
Dude,
So.
K1, he did intercept him.
Yeah.
He did pick one off, but majority of the time K1 was getting him.
He doesn't have the speed, man. He doesn't have the speed. All these slot guys crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, and I like Diamador Lenore. I think he's going to compete for that slot role, to be honest. If they I'm with you. Yeah. I'm with you on moving E-Man over in nickel packages. But I like Diamador Lenore, and I know PFF. I read some of their shit, especially after the draft, and they loved how Diamador Lenore played in the run game. That was like their whole thing with him. They were like, this guy's hard nosed. He's a good tackler, and we ask those nickelbacks to do a lot in the run game. Blitzing.
So there's a lot of thinking that goes on in playing the nickelback corner spot for the Niners, man. Like that's why everybody loved K1. He was so smart. That was really what was the difference between K1 and another slot corner is just how intelligent he was. So, but yeah, man, I definitely think Lenore is gonna fight for that spot as well. But we'll see. I like Ambry Thomas on the outside.
We got the draft's coming up.
Yeah.
The draft's coming up, so we'll find out. That'll kind of answer some of our questions, like, are they going to draft a guy or?
So, but the safety spot is interesting. I think they drafted safety, but I also think they really like Ward or George Odom. I mean, so I honestly believe they really like him because they did pay him a pretty good amount of
Everyone's
money.
talking about Odom, right? And it kind of annoyed me. Everyone's talking about Odom. Oh, he's a special teamer. Like he's a backup, and I'm like, dude. They signed him. I think he's going to compete, man. It's going to be
that's the plan is for him to compete for the starting spot, and they gave him the money. They gave him competitive like starter money for a safety.
Yeah.
So I think that's really the what it comes down to is. Well, I mean, the thing is, the thing that's been aggravating me the most is these mock drafts these fans do, bro. These mock drafts are some of the most insane, dumbest mock drafts I've ever seen. I mean, I love freaking Tony for Gold Rush YouTube. I love him, bro. Like, but the dude put out a mock draft where they traded Debo And it's not even the fact they traded Debo that I'm mad about. I'm mad about that the Niners decided to draft 17 players on his mock draft. Yeah.
What?
Like bro, like
We don't
what
need that
type
many
no,
guys.
we'd be lucky to have even 4 or 5 guys make the roster. That's how loaded this team is. And you draft
Yeah,
17 players in a mock draft.
that's wild. That's
So
wild.
I just thought that was hilarious. And then anything more than like 9 play, I don't even think the Niners are going to use all 9 picks. I think they're going
Oh,
to
you think
trade
they
up.
trade up?
I think they're going to trade up, man. I think they're going to trade up for a lot of guys in this year's draft. I think they know that they need to surround Trey Lance with a bunch of talent on the offense. I think all these picks for special teams that we did with in the off season in terms of like free agency and
Yeah.
working the defense a little bit, I think that's already kind of taken care of. But I think the offense is really going to see a
Mm.
major upgrade in terms of offensive line and the backup tight end spot. So
Oh, yeah. So
yeah,
you think there's a shot they go tight end at 61? Or do you
uh,
think it would go O-line first?
I think what they
Maybe
really
okay.
want, I think what they really want is a right guard, a solidified right guard, or even a
Mm.
who's the guy Lindstrom, center.
I've heard about the
Yeah,
center Lindstrom.
yeah, but he could slide into guard until Mac retires. So I think that's
Interesting.
I
Interesting.
think
Okay.
that's what the plan is. I think it's going to
Yeah,
be
tight
interesting.
end would be rich with your first pick in the draft
Yeah,
to
tight end would
draft a
be crazy.
backup
You know how
tight
many
end.
fans will freak
Yeah.
out? You know how many fans will freak out? First thing is like, oh my God, are they trading George Kittle? They drafted a tight end in the second
You're
round.
right. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, we
You're right.
can't draft
Maybe they got two third round picks at the end of the third, like the
Yeah,
compensatory. So maybe that's a spot where you can snag a tight end too.
yeah. No, I think there's going to be a lot of trading up this year. I really do believe that. I think there's a lot of top heavy players, but there's also there's a lot of depth in this year's draft. But I think there's going to be some key guys that they really want and are going to get desperate for, and they're going to move up.
Interesting. Okay, you heard it
Yeah.
here first. Earl thinks Niners are moving up. I wanted to give my final thoughts on the safety position because you're right. Right now, as it stands, I think it's George Odom,
Mhm.
it's Talanoa Hufanga
Yep. Jimmy
competing. I
Ward.
think it's those two. I think it's
Okay,
those
yeah.
two. Jimmy Ward, Jimmy
It's
Ward's starting.
solidified.
He's locked
Yeah,
in.
solidified.
He's locked in. But playing for that other safety role, I got Hufanga and George Odom battling. Let me tell you, Earl, I'm not a Tarvarius Moore guy. I'm sorry. I
Mhm.
wish you the best with all your
His
rehab, but
his
even before
angle,
his injury,
yeah, his
no, I'm
angle,
not a Moore guy.
yeah, his tackling angles wasn't all that great. I mean, I liked his coverage. I liked his he can make plays on the ball. You know, we've seen that in the Super Bowl where he got interception, but in terms of
Well, that
his
was like a
angles, like
tipped pass. No, dude. I'm
yeah.
sorry, Earl. I'm sorry, Earl. That was like a tipped
Hey, I
pass. I
mean,
could have caught
all
that.
right.
You could have caught that. What I remember about the Super Bowl and
Mhm.
Tarvarius Moore is him guarding Travis Kelsey in the slot when the
Yeah.
Chiefs are 15 yards away from the end zone. And I'm
Mhm.
thinking, what the fuck is Tarvarius Moore doing in the game, even before it
Yeah.
snapped? And that's right where Mahomes goes with the ball. What is it? Pass interference. Ball's at
Yeah.
the 1 yard line. So
I
that's
remember
kind of
that.
I know he got the interception, but I remember the pass interference on Travis Kelsey in the
Yeah.
slot and wondering why. Like I'm like, put a Kilo Weatherspoon out there. I don't know, somebody who can actually cover.
Yeah. No, that's fair. I mean, that's definitely fair. We'll see how it pans out. I mean, they're gonna give this guy another shot. I mean, why not? You know, I mean, it's gonna be interesting. I think there's gonna be at least five, at least 5 safeties going into training camp, maybe even 6, fighting for
I
those
mean, yeah, they
spots.
might draft a guy. So if they
Yeah,
draft a guy, he's competing with George Odom and Hufanga. I think they like Hufanga,
yeah.
but
I like
I
Hufanga.
want to wrap. Go ahead, go ahead.
Yeah, I like Hufanga. I think he could be a better safety. Some odd reason, there's quite a few people that actually watch a lot of tape that don't think he could develop into an actual true safety because of his. I don't know if it's not his lack of instincts, it's his lack of being able to
Athletic
run.
tools.
Yeah,
Yeah, he's
athletic tools.
slow.
Yeah, but then again, Harrison Smith was slow. Harrison Smith and Hufanga ran the same like
I don't
damn near
buy that.
40.
I like Hufanga. I think
Yeah.
Hufanga. I think he's a really good safety three. Like if
Hmm.
he's your third safety, like I'm
Yeah,
feeling pretty good.
and I'm
It's like
cool with
if you
that.
can. And
Yeah.
what about Tart? You bringing Tart back or no?
I would bring him back. I mean,
I'd
if he
bring him
really
back
wants to come
too. I
back,
like
but
Tart, man.
yeah,
If he's dirt cheap, right? He's got to be,
yeah.
2 or 3 mil. We're talking like minimum.
hmm I mean,
I'd bring him back.
yeah. I think shoot, Matthew hasn't even got signed yet. I'm not a big fan of Matthew. He's kind of older. I know he's 28, 29, but
That would solve some slot. So he could play
yeah,
some slot. That'd solve some
yeah.
nickelback stuff.
I mean, that's true. It's definitely true. I just find it interesting that the Chiefs were willing to depart with Tyrann Mathieu and sign a guy like Justin Reed, which isn't on Matthew level, But I mean, shit, they wanted to keep fucking Sorensen over Tyrann Mathieu. Sorensen's one of the worst safeties in
doesn't
all
make
of
sense.
football.
What I will say is I remember in that Super Bowl, right? Niners were up, obviously, you know that. And Tyrann Mathieu said some shit to that defense. You remember that? Where he was going off on the sideline. He's MFing dudes on the sideline. And dude, they played a hell of a lot fucking better after that. Like I can't even no cap. Like our offense went to shit after that.
No, that's true. I mean, he definitely brings that type of mentality to where it's just like he's all about the winning. I mean, it depends what he wants, man. I mean, Tyrann Mathieu, and we have the money for it. They want to bring in Tyrann Mathieu to start a strong safety. Fuck it, man. Do it. Deebo gets traded. What should the trade value be? I think they're gonna.
No, hold on, Earl. I gotta play something first. Are we trading Deebo?
Hell no. To the no. Yeah, to the no.
We ain't trading Deebo.
Mm-mm.
No, okay. If you want to take this question literal, and then we'll wrap it up. What is the trade value?
Trade value for a guy that's 1 of 1. I would say two ones for Deebo.
That's when you'll start considering it.
Yeah, that's when
you'd have to be at least 2 ones.
2 ones.
Okay.
Yeah.
Who should we draft then? I mean, at that point, you need a wide receiver because I don't think you can go in with BA and Jawan.
The Dolphins have 2 more first-round picks, right? Or is it just 1?
I think the Dolphins have a couple. The Jets supposedly they're the ones who really want Deebo, and they got a bunch of firsts. They got 2 firsts this year, with including pick 6 overall. You got to give me 6.
Yeah, this is the thing about that. I hate doing the trade proven all-pro players for unproven, don't know what you're going to get.
That's what I'm saying. That's why I'm against it. That's why I'm against trading it.
So
Earl.
Yep.
Hey, Earl, I wanted to, before we wrap it up, I want you to shout out your Twitch. So anyone watching, subscribe to this man, Earl. Earl's one of the best Madden players that I know on the earth.
Appreciate it.
You know, because I've played you. I've witnessed it firsthand. So why don't let these folks know where they can subscribe to your Twitch.
For sure. So it'd be twitch.tv/49er, the number 4, the number 9, and then ER. And that's it. So it's pretty simple.
There it is. It is. Earl, I appreciate you coming on.
No doubt, man.
I'm excited. You know, the draft's coming up, but I like this roster breakdown we did. We touched on a ton of guys. And have a good night. Anything else you want to plug or shout out? Any last thoughts about the Niners?
Honestly, I feel like we're definitely in good hands. Niners fans should definitely not be tripping out over contract situations in April. Draft hasn't even started yet. I know it's something fun to talk about as a content creator to put some content out there. It's a dry off season, kinda, but honestly, there's nothing to worry about. Not until training camp. Not until training camp.
Bringing some level-headedness for the Niners fans. Let's all calm down, take a chill pill. But hey, Earl, thanks for coming on, and I'll talk to you soon. All right.